Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey friends, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your home for organic Bible study that's fresh and delicious. This is what we like to call the Bible Bistro. Come on in here. We got some delicious dainties this week as we study Psalm 74. Psalm 74 is a great outline for prayer. It's a maskil of Asaph. Asaph is not unfamiliar to us. We've had his works before. This maskil is a teaching psalm. I think the thing that it's trying to teach us is how to pray. And this is a beautiful prayer because it comes on the heels of Psalm 73. And of course, in Psalm 73, we learned about the wicked man, and we learned about basically the problem of evil in the world. Well, we come to Psalm 74, and we see the problem of evil is alive and well, and this is how to pray. When you're facing an evil prospect, here's how to pray. Now, if you take a look at this from like a 30,000-foot level, you've got this beautiful outline that repeats itself. It begins with questions. Why do you cast us off forever? And then that's in verse 1. Then you have in verses 2 and 3, the request. He makes a couple of requests of the Lord. And then he describes the enemy's work. And this is the problem. So he has the problem now. He begins with a simple request and now a problem. The problem is identified. He comes back for more questions. How long shall the adversary reproach? And then in verses 12 through 15, 16, 17, 12 through 17, we have this section of praise of God's wonderful work, what he's done in the past. Now we have, to close out the psalm in 18 through 23, this section of requests, and he asks a lot of things. So this is a really nice outline for prayer. It begins with a question, it makes a request, it identifies the problem, it asks more questions, praises God for who he is, it makes requests based on who God is. So, beautiful psalm, great instruction on prayer. And so we're going to just jump right in. We're going to read verses 1 through 4 today. O God, why hast thou cast us off forever? Why doth thine anger smoke against the sheep of thy pasture? Remember thy congregation which thou hast purchased of old, the rod of thine inheritance which thou hast redeemed, this Mount Zion wherein thou hast dwelt. Lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy hath done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thine enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations. They set up their ensigns for a sign. So the questions that we start with here, why have you cast us off forever? Why does your anger smoke against the sheep of your pasture? These are questions that we might ask. When the enemy seems to be winning and all seems to be lost, wouldn't we ask God that question, why have you done this? Again, we come back to the problem of evil. Why do bad things happen to good people? Or I guess we could ask the opposite, why do good things happen to bad people? But the question for us would be, well, we see ourselves as good, or at least righteous in Christ. So we would ask the question, why is this happening? And then make a request. Make it stop. That's our request. Verse 2, remember thy congregation, which you have purchased, the rod of your inheritance, which you've redeemed, this Mount Zion, wherein you dwelt. So you notice 3 different times, the congregation, your inheritance, and Mount Zion. It gets real specific there, doesn't it? Lift up your feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy hath done wickedly in the sanctuary. Now, in the sanctuary, we're going to find out that some pretty bad stuff happened, because they've cast fire into the sanctuary. We'll find that out tomorrow. Fire is burning the sanctuary, which is, I think, why we have the language there in 1. Why does your anger smoke against the sheep of your pasture? Because they can see the sanctuary on fire. So we're going to begin looking at what this enemy, who's roaring in the midst of the congregations, what exactly he's up to. We'll find that out tomorrow. I hope you join me then on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.